Asia has always been the world's most magnetic travel region, a place where culture, spirituality, history, nightlife, and natural beauty converge with effortless charm. But in 2025, that magnetic pull is weakening across the continent, and the slowdown is far deeper than what the headlines reveal. Travelers still see crowded airports and glowing skylines, but beneath the surface, something has shifted. A quiet crisis that stretches from Japan to Indonesia, from Thailand to Cambodia. And for the first time in decades, Asia's tourism heartbeat feels unsteady. This hidden collapse didn't explode overnight. It crept in slowly and silently, changing the rhythm of 8 countries that once thrived on an unstoppable flow of Western, Asian, and global travelers. The signs are subtle but unmistakable. Streets that once felt alive now feel quieter. Hotels that were once fully booked now stand half empty, and iconic attractions no longer carry the same emotional intensity. Each of these 8 countries faces a different kind of decline. But together, they tell the story of a region confronting its greatest tourism reset in decades. We begin in Japan, the country that seemed untouchable, a giant whose tourism boom felt endless until the cracks began to show. Japan's travel hype reached a global peak after borders reopened, driven by social media, bucket list culture, and viral trends. But in 2025, the boom has softened into fatigue. Travelers describe rising prices, overcrowding, and an emotional disconnect that changes how they experience cities like Tokyo and Kyoto. Japan still delivers beauty and precision, yet many visitors now feel overwhelmed instead of enchanted. Temple paths feel congested, trains feel full, and the charm that once defined the country feels slightly strained. Western travelers now stay fewer nights and often skip traditional tourist hubs for cheaper, calmer alternatives in Southeast Asia. The emotional cost of navigating Japan has risen just as the financial cost spikes to new heights. Even iconic destinations like Kyoto feel different, more commercial, more curated, and less spiritually immersive. In the quiet places where magic once lived, travelers now feel a thin layer of overexposure. Japan's tourism crisis is not a collapse. It's a saturation, a beautiful destination stretched by its own global popularity, struggling to maintain authenticity at scale. From Japan, the crisis spreads to South Korea, a country that rode a cultural wave of K-pop, K-dramas, and global soft power. For years, Seoul became the trend capital of Asia, drawing young travelers from every corner of the world. But in 2025, the energy is shifting. Prices are rising, crowds feel denser, and the city's emotional vibe feels less welcoming and more hurried. Travelers describe Seoul as exciting but exhausting, a place where trends move fast, but emotional connection feels harder to find. The slowdown isn't dramatic, but it's noticeable. Shorter stays, lower spending, and a growing sense of traveler fatigue around hyper-commercial areas like Myeongdong and Hongdae are reshaping the tourism flow. South Korea became a global cultural icon, but that spotlight created pressure, and now the intensity is wearing travelers down. The crisis here is one of emotional overwhelm, not economic collapse. From Seoul, we move to Thailand, the former powerhouse of Southeast Asian tourism. For decades, Thailand defined affordable travel, unforgettable food, and warm hospitality. But in 2025, the country faces its hardest year in recent memory. Beaches are quieter, hotels struggle with occupancy, and the land of smiles feels less carefree and more strained. Inflation, shifting traveler behavior, new visa regulations, and rising local fatigue have created a complicated emotional atmosphere. Travelers still love Thailand, but they increasingly describe it as different, a polite word that conceals deeper change. Bangkok's nightlife feels softer, Phuket feels overpriced, and Chiang Mai feels quieter than expected. The Thailand that lived in people's dreams doesn't always match the Thailand they find in 2025. This decline is less about beauty and more about emotional tension. Thailand's soul is still there, but it feels harder to reach beneath economic pressure. From Thailand, the crisis flows into Vietnam, a country that rose rapidly into global travel fame. Vietnam's food, nature, cities, and energy drew millions of Western travelers seeking authenticity without high prices. But in 2025, Vietnam's growth has stalled. Crowds faded, hotel prices rose, and the emotional spark that made Vietnam unforgettable now feels diluted. Visitors still love the country's landscapes, yet they sense inconsistency, moments of chaos mixed with moments of charm, beautiful scenes mixed with unresolved strain. Hanoi's Old Quarter feels less vibrant, Ho Chi Minh City feels more rushed, and Da Nang feels surprisingly quiet. Vietnam remains extraordinary, but its tourism rhythm feels offbeat and uneven. Travelers say the magic is still there but harder to find, a phrase that perfectly captures Vietnam's moment of transition. The crisis here is one of identity, a country unsure whether to preserve its charm or chase modernization. These first four countries reveal the story of a region in transformation, a story shaped by pressure, emotion, economics, and global shifts in traveler psychology. But the deeper truth becomes even clearer when we explore the remaining four countries, places where the tourism collapse runs quieter, deeper, and more unexpectedly. The fifth country facing a silent collapse is Malaysia, a destination once praised for value, diversity, and comfort. Kuala Lumpur's iconic skyline still shines, yet the emotional pulse beneath it feels noticeably softer in 2025. KL's malls remain massive, but foot traffic feels lighter. Nightlife spots glow, but the energy is subdued. And visitors increasingly choose faster layovers instead of extended city stays. Malaysia's crisis is tied to identity. The country never defined what makes KL unique in a crowded Southeast Asian tourism field, and now that lack of clarity is costing it deeply. Travelers enjoy the comfort, but crave deeper emotional experiences. And in 2025, KL often feels more like a polished stopover than a cultural journey. From Malaysia, the crisis moves to Indonesia, a country whose tourism identity has been dominated and distorted by Bali. For decades, Bali carried the weight of global expectations, becoming both paradise and pressure point. But Bali's downturn is now affecting the entire nation. Rising prices, overcrowding fatigue, and shifting traveler psychology have reshaped how the world views Indonesia as a whole. Destinations like Lombok, Flores, and Labuan Bajo were meant to become the next Bali, yet instead inherited Bali's problems without its global magnetism. The result is a national tourism slowdown disguised by pockets of local busyness. Indonesia's crisis is one of over-reliance, a country with 17,000 islands struggling to escape the shadow of one. Travelers want emotional depth, but Indonesia's marketing still feels stuck in old images of sunsets and villas. The seventh country in crisis is Cambodia, where Siem Reap stands quiet in a way few expected. Angkor Wat remains magnificent, yet the city around it feels hollow, a place designed for millions now visited by far fewer. Cambodia's tourism model relied too heavily on one attraction. When global travel shifted and regional competition intensified, Siem Reap's vulnerability became impossible to hide. Visitors now describe the city as beautiful but overwhelmingly quiet. Restaurants sit half-empty, markets feel slower, and the emotional energy that once defined the city is muted. Cambodia's crisis is one of narrative. It never expanded its story beyond temples, and modern travelers want more than a single historical site. The eighth and final country is the Philippines, a destination full of beauty but challenged by infrastructure, rising prices, and unpredictable travel flow. The islands remain stunning, yet the tourism experience often feels inconsistent, emotionally warm in some moments, difficult in others. Travelers still love the people and beaches, but describe 2025 as a year of mixed signals. Manila's energy feels heavier, Cebu feels quieter, and parts of Palawan and Boracay struggle with pricing, regulations, and uneven visitor patterns. The Philippines' crisis is one of accessibility, emotional, logistical, and financial. Together, these 8 countries paint a portrait of a region in transition. A region adapting to travelers who now prioritize authenticity, emotional depth, value, and comfort over hype, photos, and tradition. Asia is not losing its magic. It is rediscovering it in slower, quieter, more introspective ways. The silent tourism crisis is not a collapse. It is the opening chapter of a new travel era where meaning matters more than momentum. Each of these 8 countries now faces the same question. What do travelers truly want in 2025 and beyond? The destinations that answer that question with honesty, soul, and emotional connection will become the leaders of Asia's next great tourism era. And in that evolution lies the future of travel, quieter, deeper, and more human than ever before.